And the Metropolitan Police has called on Just Stop Oil to cooperate with them after revealing that policing the group has cost taxpayers nearly £20 million. It comes as Scotland Yard reported that around 300 officers per day were being taken out of frontline work to deal with activists blocking roads and disrupting events. The unit responsible for dealing with the protests says that the group does not have a right to indiscriminately disrupt Londoners.
We know that they will want their voice to be heard, but what we've got to do is balance that right with the rights of everybody else who is using the city. And we've seen in the past the sheer disruption, unavoidable and indiscriminate, right across the centre of London wider, that has been caused by Just Stop Oil. So we would ask them to come forward and liaise with us about how best they can have their voice heard if they want to protest.
Well, we're joined in the studio by the one and only former Scotland Yard detective Peter Bleksley, and down the line is a spokesman for Just Stop Oil, Dr. Bing Jones. Bing, I'm going to start with you, if I may. I mean, £20 million is a big old bill to be shoving on, essentially, the taxpayer for not only disrupting their lives, potentially blocking ambulances, we saw that happen the other day, but actually using up all of our police resources. It's not really fair, is it?
Well, hello, and hello to your listeners. It's not a massive sum. The Met's budget is £4.4 billion. It's their job to police demonstrations like this. And what we're talking about is the biggest issue of our time. We're talking about losses which are going to be in terms of billions of lives. And we're talking about billions of pounds now from floods. People in America can't get insurance.
OK,
the money is
all right,
absolutely vast.
But are you going to cooperate with the police? We know what you're going to say about the climate emergency. You lot always saying the same thing. But are you going to cooperate with the police? Because £20 million is a lot of money. It's taxpayers' money. Plus, you do tend to disrupt people's days. People can't complete their journeys. People can't get their kids to school. They can't get to work. They can't get to hospitals. Are you going to cooperate with the Met Police?
Yes, in a word, we've already cooperated. The last few demonstrations, we told the police exactly where we were going to be. We've also been in touch with the police because we feel that the police are arresting the wrong people. We're looking here at the biggest crisis that's ever hit humanity, and the government is making it worse by licensing more fossil fuels. And rather than locking up
Bing,
people...
you're not here to give us a party political broadcast. We're asking you whether or not you're going to cooperate with the police. I don't really care about your message.
I think what we should do, actually, is bring in Peter Bleksley and give your reaction to that. And then, Bing, you might be able to come back. I mean, when you look at that bill, £20 million, and you're the sort of guys that we should be out there catching real criminals, not wasting time and resources on hippy-dippy people in orange T-shirts.
This lunatic and lawless cult are the enemy of the people, undoubtedly. They want to destroy priceless works of art that are gifts and bring joy to so many people. They trash treasured architecture, as well as interrupting so many people's journeys and going about their lawful business. They are the friends of robbers, burglars, paedophiles and the like, because police resources are diverted away from working with their communities to try and prevent crime and apprehend offenders, and they are having to deal with these, quite frankly, unhinged people.
I mean, Bing, pretty stern stuff there from Peter Bleksley, but he does have a point. If police resources and time are being diverted to managing your protests, which arguably could be done in a different way that would be less time-consuming and take up less police presence, then you are essentially playing into the hands of some pretty horrible people who the police should be going after.
The real criminals that should be gone after are the people that are destroying your children's future.
You're doing it again, Bing. We're not talking about this. We're talking about whether or not you guys are going to cooperate with the police. And let me ask you something, Bing, in terms of your demonstrations and your protests, your road blocking, your bridge blocking, etc., that's now been going on for several years. It seems to have resulted in a massive U-turn by the Prime Minister. He's going in the opposite direction. He's cutting back on greenery. So your protests, which have caused so much disruption to people over the years have been entirely ineffective in stopping the government, in turning the government round in terms of its green policies. The government is now less green than it was when you started your protests.
That's, you know, that's it may be the case that the government has changed, but the fact is that I'm here on your program.
They're not working, are they?
Look, Kev, I'm here on your program because of these demonstrations. So it obviously does work. And we have got to get this basic message across. Your listeners need to know.
I'm not letting you. I don't want to hear your party political broadcast on behalf of the climate change emergency. That's not why you're here.
Kev, let's talk about the money then. All right, shall we?
Fine. That's better.
OK, so I'm a doctor. I'm used to dealing with, I'm a retired doctor, but I'm used to dealing with people with cancer. There's a price to pay for inaction. If you go to the toilet and you see blood in your poo in the toilet, what do? Do you sit and listen to some comfortable radio program that's going to tell you that everything's all right?
Television
or do you
program.
Get your bottom down to the doctor and spend the money, change your life and sort it out? The government is actually making things worse. Kev, it's making it worse. Your listeners need to know that London is going to be
none of that. Well, you're not here to lecture us on this stuff. We're talking about your relationship between your disruptive organisation and the police, and it's an unhealthy one, isn't it, Peter?
And if you listen to the language of Bing and his like, which sadly I've had to do a lot in the last few months, you realise just what a completely unhinged cult they are. They wrote to the Metropolitan Police, and do you know what that was? It was a dossier saying that the police should nick the Prime Minister for genocide. OK, right, and that's true. OK, these are the kind of lunatic people that the Metropolitan Police are trying to deal with, and it would be hysterically funny if it wasn't for the fact there are crimes not getting investigated, there are bad people not getting captured, and there are victims who are not getting the service that they should do.
But do you think the problem here as well is because they think they're on a moral crusade and sort of showering themselves with self-righteousness, they're kind of harder for the police to crack down on than other people, perhaps?
Yeah, which is why their tactics are so numbskullingly ridiculous, like this slow walking, which of course obstructs the highway. We need to give thanks on a couple of fronts that the Metropolitan Police finally got their act together and started arresting these people. They are unfortunately clogging up some of the prisons, but so be it if you go out to deliberately break the law. And yes, if you're 18, 19 and get repeatedly arrested because you repeatedly break the law, it's your own future you're wrecking. Yeah. So they're clogging up the jails, so be it. Keep locking them up, keep keep the roads clear.
Listen, Bing, thank you very much for joining us. But yeah, I just think the police, maybe the relationship they should have with Just Stop Oil is arrest as many of them as humanly possible as soon as
I feel like I look like one of them today. Accidentally, I'm in the team kit colour.
There you go, yeah. Just Stop Oil girl here. Sadly, Alex, thank you very much, Peter Bleksley.